The comma is the most used punctuation mark in English. It is probably also the most abused. Many people think they should use a comma for pauses in language, or when it looks good, or when they feel like. Is that really when you use a comma? No. The comma does have many uses, so it's easy to be confused. It's used to separate a series of items, and between numbers to keep them clear. It's used between dates and addresses, to set off initials or titles, to set off interjections, to set off dialogue, to set off interruptions. It's used in a direct address, to set off adjectives, to set off non-restrictive phrases and clauses, to set off appositives, to set off explanatory phrases, to separate compound sentences, and to set off the introductory clause. So with all the functions that commas have, it's easy to mistakenly put them everywhere, especially where they don't belong. So let's break commas into different functioning categories. Commas that deal with smaller units, such as words, and those that deal with larger units, like phrases and clauses. First, you can use a comma between a series of items. I have an ice cream, soda, and French fries. You don't have to use the last or serial comma between the soda and many people don't. The comma helps to keep numbers clear. Putting commas allows instant recognition of numbers large or small. The comma is used in dates and addresses for clarification, separating the month from the year and the different components of the address, such as street, city, and state. It's used to set off initials or titles. As in the example here, JD, Doctor of Jurisprudence, is set off, as is the letter T. Another function of the comma is to set off interjections. You know, those utterances that may come out in between. Though I hope you do not use like as an interjection too often. The comma is used to set off dialogue. Mom said and said I are offset by commas. It's used in direct address. You can see, especially with the last example, why setting off the person's name you are addressing is practical. Otherwise, you would think Sam was Peter's last name. Have you seen Peter, Sam? Becomes, have you seen Peter, Sam? And last for this category of offsetting smaller parts with commas is setting off adjectives. The adjectives small and soft are separated because they describe the kitten. The same for beautiful and long. The second section is for commas setting off longer parts, such as phrases and clauses. I started with interruptions because they can be long, as with a phrase, or short, with one word. So you see, my divisions aren't as exact as I would like them to be. A short example is with the word however, but often we use phrases as interruptions, as in not in the theater, or as you may well know. But I think interruptions fit in this category of larger components nonetheless. The next three uses for the comma are very similar. The next is setting off an appositive. What's an appositive? An appositive identifies a noun or pronoun. For example, the head coach or the capital of Egypt. But appositives can also be one word, such as soul. The next use of the comma is to set off an explanatory phrase. Sometimes there is little difference between an appositive and explanatory phrase. One of the hardest languages to learn describes Korean. This type of explanatory phrase is also called a non-restrictive phrase because it is non-essential to the meaning of the sentence. The same with only one of 5 existing monotremes. The sentence, "The platypus is an animal that is like a cross between a beaver and a duck," stands perfectly well by itself. There's nothing more to add to non-restrictive clauses, which are the same as non-essential explanatory phrases. I've made both circles pink to indicate this similarity. They're so similar that I simply use the same example. The next use of the comma is to separate the introductory clause or phrase. The introductory clause or phrase comes before the main clause. The comma helps to signal to the reader that what is important is yet to come. On her way to work, and although we live in an affluent area, are the introductory clauses. They can't stand alone because they don't make sense. Plus, the important points come after. Tiana dropped off the package, and we are not rich, are what the sentence is all about. The last use of the comma is to divide compound sentences. It goes between two main clauses that have for, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so. Remember, each part has a main clause with a subject and a verb connected by a coordinating conjunction. There must be this coordinating conjunction between the main clauses, and you put the comma before the coordinating conjunction. That concludes the functions of the comma that you are most likely to use. So keep in mind the difference between the smaller units and the larger units, and that might help you remember things better. Good luck with your comma use, and don't be a comma crazy.